Welcome back to CryptosRUs. I'm George. We're all George. So, welcome to another market open stream. Is today going to be better than yesterday? Let's take a look at what's happening. There is one major event that's happening today. Actually, a couple. One is unknown. So let's talk about it. However, we know that the next move will be massive. So let's talk about that as well. All right, let's do it, guys. Let's do it. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We are starting out a day at 113. Better than yesterday, that's for sure. Yesterday we went down to 111.5. Seems like that may be the final shakeout, but we'll see. And you know, we see some green today, some green, including Aster that's flying again, closing in at $2. All right, but moving forward, let's see. The U.S. market is mixed at open. Yesterday, everything did flip to the green, very, very green. So that's good. Most stocks, most crypto-related stocks are up today. That's good. However, there are two major things happening today that could definitely shift things. Number one, Fed Chair Powell is going to be speaking again. Yesterday, we had a whole bunch of Fed governors and presidents speak. Today, we're going to get Powell speaking. I don't know why he needs to speak right after FOMC meeting, a week afterwards. I don't know what else he could say that that could be different. So I don't know, but you know, people want to know what he has to say. This is one of the major things that's coming today. However, there is something else that's of a mystery that we can't really predict. And that came from Dennis Porter. And he said he got off the phone with one of the most influential people in Washington. And there's some huge news coming out today that's going to cause a seismic shift. That's why I'm like, seismic shift in Bitcoin policy. Sorry, I couldn't read that. So something huge is coming today. Don't know what. Can it be what's coming out today? Supposedly, Trump is going to give a speech today. Is this that shift Dennis Porter talking about? Are we going to get a Bitcoin reserve announcement or something big coming out today? Don't know. Don't know, but it's coming. So that's the unknown, right? That could definitely set things off today if yeah, it's really good. It's really good. We already had this. We got an executive order from Trump to allow Bitcoin into 401ks. Now Congress is urging SEC to allow it. I guess they haven't fully, you know, gone through with it. But this is also pretty big. This is not coming like now, but there are millions upon millions of people out there with 401ks, right? Probably talking about trillions of dollars. If this becomes a thing, it'd be very good. Very good indeed. But yeah, we'll see what comes out today. Could be massive. All right, now moving on to some normal stuff. ETF inflow yesterday was negative. Very negative. Mostly just from Fidelity. BlackRock did not sell yesterday. So again, you could tell the difference between people that believe and people that don't. BlackRock ETF hardly ever gets outflows. But others, you get outflows all the time. But BlackRock, they know better. They know better. Now, as for Ethereum's inflow outflow, we did have outflow day yesterday, pretty much across the board. But it wasn't as bad as you would think based on yesterday's movement. So what that tells me is yesterday's sell-off was primarily not Wall Street driven. we tend to see Wall Street make a lot of moves sometime, and the ETF is a good way to know. But yesterday, yes, definitely some sold Ethereum, but it doesn't seem like they were the major cause of what we saw, that $1.8 billion worth of liquidations. That, I think we have to give credit to the market makers, aka Binance, aka Bybit, aka whoever else, right? I think those are the responsible parties. All right, now outside of these things, what else is there? Well, obviously after the big liquidation event, you have open interest that fell down drastically. That's actually a good thing. Again, things are getting reset. Sometimes when when you're too heavy on one side, you need to reset, right? It's unfortunate. A lot of us that have longs, you're going to be deep in the red or get liquidated, but that's just the name of the game. You take the risk, right? It's just like if you bet on a team, you're taking a risk. So now that things are reset, we could get moving again. Now, what's strange is recently gold has been moving, right? It's at 3,700. It's at its all-time high. Are we going to see Bitcoin do the same thing? If you look at the two wedges, pretty similar. The only difference is the time scale. What you don't realize on the gold is that took decades to happen. For Bitcoin, it's more like a 4-year cycle. So there's a big difference between movement, or the pace of the movement, I should say. But nevertheless, we are very similar because Bitcoin is a digital gold, a pharmaceutical grade version of gold that's better in every way. Yeah. And short term, we have a bullish divergence, right? So does that mean that we're going to flip right back above to where we were, 115, 117, and go beyond? Well, let's see what happens. Let's see what happens this week. Let's see what happens today with that big announcement. Is it going to be huge? That seismic shift that as Porter was talking about, we could be right back up to all-time high. Quickly, very, very quickly. But if not, we got a lot of great things happening and more macro stuff because we have a GDP and a PC inflation that's coming up Thursday and Friday. Big, big things. Outside of Bitcoin, you have Solana. Some news. Kazakhstan, the nation of Kazakhstan, launches a stable coin with Solana and MasterCard. Kazakhstan is not a country you hear a whole lot about. Interesting fact, I visited Kazakhstan when I was a teenager. Can't really remember the experience, but I did go there once. But outside of that, Helios invests $175 million into Solana. That's part of their $500 million plan. So obviously they got a ways to go, but that's a lot of money. And there are a lot of money flowing into Solana. A lot of Solana treasuries being built right now. And Wisdom Tree registers a bucket ETF that has Solana, XRP, and Cardano, but they're doing a top 20. That's not a bad thing for like the average Joe that don't know any better. If they need to like select something, that would be a pretty good one because the top 20, the big caps basically are the ones that are doing the best at this point, right? And speaking of Ripple, we will get a ton of XRP ETFs, 7 more by the end of 2025. So once these all come out, it'll be really interesting to see how much money flow in right away. I guess it depends on how hot the market is. If we really have that true altcoin season and we start exploding in October, November, leading to December, then you're going to see billions upon billions upon billions come in. But lastly, also, Ripple unveils their new upgrade, the XRP Ledger 3.0. And they're building in all the things that user wants in a chain, including native lending, so you don't have to rely on a third party, privacy tokens for private transactions, liquid staking, so that you could stake and earn your yield and do something with that, you know, and other things that will drive institutional adoption. So this sounds awesome. This sounds like XRP Ledger will have all the latest things that the other chains have, right? But I don't know the timeline. I don't know when they're going to get this done. It may take years, but it does sound pretty darn good. It does. All right. That's pretty much it. Slow day today. We're still kind of mixed. Dow is up. NASDAQ flipped red. For the most part, we have a tiny little recovery today, with the exception of the three that I mentioned in my Sunday video. Aster up about 20% today. Aventus joining at plus 8%. And the third one I mentioned, Bluefin, is up 15% today. So the decentralized derivative DEXs, they are all recovering today. And Aster is at like a new all-time high right now. So they're leading the way. Okay. Let's do some Q&A. Did Coinbase list Aster today? Is that why? Still waiting for that Binance listing. I don't see it here, but maybe it was just announced. No, I don't see it. What about AVAX? Is doing good. AVAX is holding very well above 30. It's at $34. It is doing very well right now because South Korea chose it as the network for its stablecoin, but it has a long ways to go to get back to its previous highs. But it's a start for sure. I see one person saying it's Rectober or Rectember or whatever. Let's not forget, we're still in the green for September right now. It may not seem like it because we were doing even better, but we're still plus 4% right now in September. See, that's just happens in crypto all the time. You know, we got a little movement, down movement, and then we think like, oh, everything has been lost. No, we're still up. we forget August was a pretty bad month. So we're still up from that. But I guess we haven't fully recovered from August either. So I'll give you bears that. End of year prediction, Bitcoin still 200,000. ETH, I'm not so sure. It's gotten a lot weaker recently. It was so strong leading away. Now it's gotten really stagnant. But I'd say ETH still has a chance to hit like 10,000 at least. If it picks up again, it could go as high as like 15,000. But even if it stays at its current path, I guess, probably 10,000. Love Bug, yeah, I talked about Ventus. It's backed by Coinbase and Base, so it's basically like Aster, but on Base. Tom Lee says 50K ETH. That's he doesn't mean this cycle, okay? He says eventually, not this cycle. He's not even that bullish, even though he holds like $8 billion worth of ETH. Yesterday, I told you guys to join Discord. I think we had another like 50 people sign up. You know, all of you guys should be in Discord. There's really no reason why you shouldn't be in Discord. Boot camp is going to kick off, I think, in a couple of days. Free live trading, okay? It's a seminar, 3 days, where you learn everything you need to know. You got general chat. You got TA, which actually has been pretty darn accurate from the team. Like calling the drop down to 112 was in there. You still got Clash, right? Which I streamed again yesterday. I'll tell you guys a little about it, the tournament. And then we got clipping. Some people are actually joining, interested in clipping, making money by doing that. There's a lot of stuff going on in Discord. The only thing I would say about Discord is there's a lot of impersonators. So when you go in, you get bombarded by like a million people pretending to be me or Josh or Tyler from the team. So that's the only thing. When you go into Discord, just turn off your DMs. No one will direct message you. That's the only one downside, and you can't stop it. You can't force people not to have DMs. But outside of that, it's pretty darn good. Sol climbed above its resistance now. You think ENS will actually ever be used? I'm sure some people use ENS. I don't. I mean, I just use my addresses. I never like try to register, you know, George.eth or something and use it. I just still use my wallet address. So I don't know if something like that will ever catch on. If they build it into the exchanges, maybe. And then the new people coming in will just get used to it. Oh yeah, speaking of which, you guys started to fill out the form, but you really need to fill out more. Okay, there's only 97 responses, which is dirt low. There should be hundreds of thousands in here. So I gave away 0.5 SOL yesterday. Last night I gave some more SOL away. I decided to just put it in here so that there's no confusion on who has won anything. So there's previous winners. I'll just keep adding to it. And any of you Clash holders, put in your wallet. This will be ongoing forever. And those of you guys that are not Clash holders, this is your opportunity to get in. And we will host another prize tournament this Friday. And it should be even bigger because I'm talking to a few companies that may be like coming in as sponsors and participating in the tournament. So we get more attention, more players, more prizes. It's going to get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. So that's the plan. Yeah, this form is in the description of the video. It's also on Discord. When we are a type 2 civilization, Bitcoin will be 1 trillion. I don't know what a type 2 civilization means. Maybe you could elaborate what that means. CZ behind Aster, already major red flag. Well, I get the distrust in CZ and Binance, but when it comes to hype, there's probably none other that's bigger in terms of hype generation. Coinbase turned green. That's a really good sign. BNMR, which BitMine had a horrible day yesterday, turned green today. That's a good sign. Robinhood continues to be green. That's good. Palantir is up today in a big way. Probably after the NVIDIA thing yesterday. That's good. So Wall Street is definitely buying. And that's always a good sign. I don't really believe they were the ones that caused the dump yesterday. Type 2 is we live with the power of our sun. We kind of already do that, but obviously not our main fuel source. I don't think we'll ever get there. There's like talks about civilization somehow building a dome around the sun and then capturing the energy from it. I don't think people realize how big the sun is. We don't have enough minerals on this planet. Even if you fully dug the entire earth and built some kind of thing to go around the sun, it wouldn't even probably go around 1/10 of the sun. Probably not even 5% of the sun. The sun is so astronomically big. We need to be mining from like 1,000 different planets, maybe even more than that, to get enough minerals to build something around the sun. It would be like impossible. We're nowhere close. Maybe if humans were around 100,000 years from now. Can you imagine like our time scale right now, or our dates, I guess date scale, right? We're 2025. So You know, imagine if we were around in 100,000 years, and our dates would be September 23rd, 100,005, like something like that. At some point, I think we have to just cut off zeros. It would be ridiculous to write it like that. Maybe after we breach 10,000, we just lop off a zero or something. Because even to write 923 10005 would be very interesting. Dennis Porter says the announcement will come in 20 minutes. First of all, I was trying to see who is Dennis Porter. He's a co-founder of Satoshi Act Fund. So he's someone that's involved with Bitcoin. Announcement and Crypto Town Hall with Scott Melker. I don't know. I don't know what the seismic shift he's talking about is really going to be. Fernando, you wouldn't need people to build it. If we were that advanced, it would definitely be robots, right? Robotics. We'll have 1 million drones and robots out in space building it. It would take an astronomical amount of time, but yeah, we would just mass produce drones that would do it. We wouldn't need billions of people to do it for sure. 90% of yesterday liquidations were on Bybit. If that's the case, then Bybit is definitely the culprit. They were the market maker that did this. Supposedly we went to the moon 50 years ago, but they said it'll be 10 years before we could go back. Yeah, I'm conflicted about the moon thing, okay? Because I'm pretty convinced that the footage that we have of the moon landing is all fake. But that doesn't mean that we didn't actually go to the moon, right? They were trying to make a show for the world to see, like especially for Russia to see. So I could be convinced to say that yeah, the footage and stuff with the shadows and everything were wrong. So that could be in a movie studio. But that doesn't mean we didn't go to the moon, because there are also people that say you can point a telescope on the moon and see the landing site. You can see things on the moon that we still put up there. Anyone could see it with a high power telescope. So I'm kind of conflicted about the whole thing. So how do you explain that you can see the landing site with a telescope if we didn't go there? Yeah, Russia would have called us out for sure. And recently, China and was it India supposedly went to the dark side of the moon or something like that. I think it's possible. It's just we don't have financial incentive to do so. But I'm pretty sure that the footage that we have of the landing and the moonwalk and all that was fake. We just didn't. There's no way that we had enough like technical capabilities to film that nicely on the moon. Marco, are you sure you can't see the flag? I'm pretty sure you could. Not that this is really good proof, but I just did a quick Google search. See all 6 Apollo landing sites. Not only did we go once, we went 6 times. And then you could see where all the landing sites are. They actually tell you where you can go. Not that these pictures are really good, but you could see the big circles. I'm assuming that's where the landing sites are, right? Those big circles. There's another circle. A lot of circles everywhere. Oh man, Aster's at 207. It's not stopping. I loaded up on Aster. I told you guys that. FOMO'd in at 125. And it's almost double now. And I know a lot of people that brought it to my attention at like 40 cents, 50 cents. I just totally, did not believe. But the CZ effect is real. God, it needs to chill. I closed my longs because it was getting scary. When it went down to 130, I closed it before it got liquidated. But I took a big loss on it. But this morning I closed one where I was up 44%. But I just kept most of them spot, and that's the best way to do it. Spot, you can't get liquidated. It goes down, who cares? It just comes back up. The volume is exploding right now. I mean, there's definitely a lot of like whale activity right now. Look at the volume exploding right now. Tons of volume. I don't know where this go. Post a link in Discord. What link? The sign up link, the giveaway link, it's in Discord. Can't really chart Aster at this point. It's too early, but you definitely see it broke through its all-time high. Very overbought in the lower time scales, but it's purely driven by hype right now. It's not just hype, okay? It's not just CZ and Binance. I mean, here's the thing. It does need a Binance listing, which we'll get soon. But the biggest thing is we have something to compare it to. If there was nothing to compare it to, and this is the reason why I never bought hype in the first place, because I always thought hype went up way too fast and it didn't justify the market price. So hype is at 16 billion, $48. FDV is even higher at 48 billion, which is insane. Okay? But that's where hype is now. And this came out of nowhere. There was nothing to compare it to. But now you could compare Aster to it. So Aster is 3.44 billion, even after where it is. FDV is at 16. So you do the math, that's still what? 5x away in market cap and FDV. So this is why people are bullish on it, because it has to be at $10 to equal where Hyperliquid is. Can it get there? Sure. Because CZ and Binance keeps pushing it, then yeah, it's going to happen. ChatGPT says we've been to the moon. 842 pounds of rock were taken back to the Earth, chemically analyzed worldwide. I'm pretty sure we went to the moon. I'm just not sure that the footage is real, which I think is still fake. But I'm pretty sure we went to the moon. It's amazing to think, though, that our phones are like 1 billion times or 1 million times more powerful than the computers we had back when Apollo 11 happened. And they were still able to do it. So we could do a whole lot if we put our mind to it. All right, we got 100 responses, a little bit more. All right, Clash holders, fill in your form. If you're not a Clash holder, maybe you want to think about it. Still, super low market cap, dirt cheap, and we will get a lot more players and bigger tournaments and cause more attention to this project. So fill this out, win some free money, sold that is. This site is awesome, Wheel of Names. Not that it's really useful, because I don't know why you want to just pick random names. At some point, selecting all the wallet addresses is going to be very, very difficult. All right. I'm just going to give this guy... Let's check. Let's check if this guy has some Clash. He has 100K Clash. That's not 500K. So this guy's ineligible. So you got to have 500K. He probably did, and he sold some. So unfortunately, this guy wins nothing. If he just had a little bit more, he would be 0.5 SOL richer. This guy does, see? He has 500,000 Clash. Perfect. Perfect. All right. So this guy will win 0.5 SOL. I'm going to send it to him after this stream. And I'll put it in the sheet there. See, that's all it takes. All you have to do is have some Clash in your wallet, and you go win free Sol. But don't put in a wallet that doesn't have the Clash, then, you know, you're just going to get skipped over. We're coming up a little bit today. Today should be a recovery day. I think how you could tell if Wall Street's go buy or not is just look at like Coinbase and MicroStrategy and some of these others. If they turn green, then that means they're buying. Abandoned Soul. Clash is my gaming token that I've been using to stream on Pump.fun and the I Am George channel, which I did last night again. So it's based on the game Clash Royale, which is very addictive. It's viral right now, very popular, and I want to grow it. Am I going to stream the Trump announcement? No. It's probably going to be a nothing burger if I'm being honest, but if it's not a nothing burger, that'll be awesome. But so far, all these announcements have been pretty much nothing burgers. What won't be a nothing burger if somehow they did figure out to acquire more Bitcoin over the next, say, 20 years and get to 1 million. That would be huge. Not over 20 years, over the next 4 years. Over the next 4 years to acquire 1 million Bitcoin through something. Selling bonds or something, that would be huge. That won't be a nothing burger. '80th session of the UN Gen. That doesn't sound like it's a Bitcoin related thing. I guess since we're here, we might as well listen to it. I don't hear anything.
Almost everybody. And importantly, workers' wages are rising at the fastest pace in more than 60 years. And that's what it's all about, isn't it? In 4 years of President Biden, we had less than $1 trillion of new investment into the United States. In just 8 months since I took office, we have secured commitments and money already paid for $17 trillion. Think of it, 4 years, less than $1 trillion, 8 months, much more than $17 trillion is being invested in the United States, and it's now pouring in from all parts of the world. We've implemented the largest tax cuts in American history and the largest regulation cuts in American history, making this once and again the best country on earth to do business. And many of the people in this room are investing in America, and it's turned out to be an awfully good investment during this 8-month period. In my first term, I built the greatest economy in the history of the world. We had the best economy ever.
I'm not so sure that's a true statement.
And I'm doing the same thing again, but this time it's actually much bigger and even better. The numbers far surpass my record-setting first term. On our southern border, we have successfully repelled a colossal invasion, and for the last 4 months, and that's 4 months in a row, the number of illegal aliens admitted and entering our country has been 0. Hard to believe.
Yeah, I don't believe that.
Back just
not one has come through and snuck through and they didn't know about it.
From all over the world, from prisons, from mental institutions, drug dealers, all over the world they came. They just poured into our country with the ridiculous open border policy of the Biden administration. Our message is very simple. If you come illegally into the United States, you're going to jail or you're going back to where you came from, or perhaps even further than that. You know what that means?
Is he going to talk Bitcoin or not in this? I don't know.
I want to thank the country of El Salvador for the successful and professional job they've done in receiving and jailing so many criminals that entered our country. And it was under the previous administration that the number became record-setting, and they're all being taken out. We have no choice. And other countries have no choice because other countries are in the exact same situation with immigration. It's destroying your country, and you have to do something about it. On the world stage, America is respected again like it has never been respected before. You think about 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, or 1 year ago, we were a laughingstock all over the world. At the NATO summit in June, virtually all NATO members formally committed to increase defense spending at my request from 2% to 5% of GDP, making our alliance far stronger and more powerful than it was ever before. In May, I traveled to the Middle East to visit my friends and rebuild our partnerships in the Gulf and those valued relationships with Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and the UAE and other countries are now, I believe, closer than ever before. My administration has negotiated one historic trade deal after another, including with the United Kingdom, the European Union, Japan, South Korea,
What is
Vietnam,
the point of this speech?
Indonesia,
Is it just
the
to brag
Philippines,
about all the
Malaysia,
things
and
that he
many
has done?
others.
Like, does the UN
Likewise,
really
in
need
a
to hear
period of
this?
just 7 months, I have ended
I don't get
7
the point of this
unendable
speech.
wars. They said they were unendable. You're never going to.
Isn't he supposed to be announcing new things or something?
31 years, 2 of them, 31. Think of it, 31 years. One was 36 years. One was 28 years. I ended 7 wars, and
7
in all cases,
wars?
they were raging with countless thousands of people being killed. This includes Cambodia and Thailand, Kosovo and Serbia, the Congo and Rwanda, a vicious, violent war that was, Pakistan and India, Israel and Iran, Egypt and Ethiopia, and Armenia and Azerbaijan.
This is all
It
within
included
4 months?
All of them. No president or prime minister, and for that matter, no other country has ever done anything close to that. And I did it in just 7 months. It's never happened before.
7 months?
There's never been anything like that. I'm very honored to have done it. It's too bad that I had to do these things instead of the United Nations doing them. And sadly, in all cases, the United Nations did not even try to help in any of them. I ended 7 wars, dealt with the leaders.
Now he's blaming the UN in front of the UN.
And never even received a phone call from the United Nations.
He's saying the UN didn't help at all.
In finalizing.
He's saying that in front of the UN assembly.
All I got from the United Nations was an escalator that on the way up stopped right in the middle. If the First Lady wasn't in great shape, she would have fallen.
That's funny, man.
But she's in great shape. We're both in good shape. We both stood. And then a teleprompter that didn't work. These are the 2 things I got from the United Nations, a bad escalator and a bad teleprompter. Thank you very much.
That's why he's not reading it off. He's just going
went
off the top of his head.
you. I think I should just do it the other way. It's easier. Thank you very much. I didn't think of it at the time because I was too busy working to save millions of lives. That is the saving and stopping of these wars. But later I realized that the United Nations wasn't there for us. They weren't there. I thought of it really after the fact.
Why are we watching this? Because
not during these
it's
negotiations.
on. We're hoping he says something about crypto.
That being the case, what is the purpose of the United Nations? The UN has such tremendous potential. I've always said it. It has such tremendous, tremendous potential. But it's not even coming close to living up to that potential. For the most part, at least for now, all they seem to do is write a really strongly worded letter and then never follow that letter up. It's empty words, and empty words don't solve war. The only thing that solves war and wars is action. Now, after ending all of these wars and also earlier negotiating the Abraham Accords, which is a very big thing for which our country received no credit, never receives credit. Everyone says that I should get the Nobel Peace Prize for each one of these achievements. But for me, the real prize will be the sons and daughters who live to grow up with the mothers and fathers, because millions of people are no longer being killed in endless and unglorious wars. What I care about is not winning prizes, it's saving lives. We saved millions and millions of lives with the 7 wars. And we have others that we're working on, and you know that. Many years ago, a very successful real estate developer in New York, known as Donald J. Trump, I bid on the renovation and rebuilding of this very United Nations complex. I remember it so well. I said at the time that I would do it for $500 million.
You gotta give Trump credit. His speeches are never boring. They're always super entertaining.
I'm going to give you marble floors. They're going to give you terrazzo. I'm going to give you the best of everything. You're going to have mahogany walls. They're going to give you plastic. But they decided to go in another direction, which was much more expensive at the time, and which actually produced a far inferior product. And I really doing when it came to construction, and that their building concepts were so wrong, and the product that they were proposing to build was so bad and so costly. It was going to cost them a fortune. And I said, and wait till you see the overruns. Well, I turned out to be right. They had massive cost overruns and spent between $2 and $4 billion on the building and did not even get the marble floors that I promised them. You walk on terrazzo. Do you notice that? As far as I'm concerned, frankly, looking at the building and getting stuck on the escalator, they still haven't finished the job. They still haven't finished. That was years ago. The project was so corrupt that Congress actually asked me to testify before them on the tremendous waste of money, because it turned out that they had no idea what it was, but they knew it was.
Is he talking about the new Fed building?
$4 billion as opposed to $500 million with a guarantee.
Yeah, so now he's talking about
no
Powell.
idea, and I said it cost much more than $5 billion. Unfortunately, many things in the United Nations are happening just like that, but on an even much bigger scale, much, much bigger. Very sad to see whether the UN can manage to.
Why is he talking about the Fed building?
Role. I've come here today to offer the hand of
what does that have to do with anything?
Leadership and friendship to any nation in this assembly that is willing to join us in forging a safer, more prosperous world. And it's a world that we'll be much happier with. A dramatically better future is within our reach. But to get there, we must reject the failed approaches of the past and work together to confront some of the greatest threats in history. There is no more serious danger to our planet today than the most powerful and destructive weapons ever devised by man, of which the United States, as you know, has many. Just as I did in my first term, I've made containing these threats a top priority, starting
that's a flex
with the nation of Iran. My position is very simple. The world's #1 sponsor of terror can never be allowed to possess the most dangerous weapon. That's why shortly after taking office, I sent the so-called Supreme Leader a letter making a generous offer. I extended a pledge of full cooperation in exchange for a suspension of Iran's nuclear program. The regime's answer was to continue their constant threats to their neighbors and U.S. interests.
I don't think he's going to talk about
and
crypto
some great countries that are right nearby. Today, many of Iran's former military commanders, in fact, I can say almost all of them, are no longer with us. They're dead.
Hasn't helped crypto at all.
And 3 months ago,
except
in
aster
Operation
continues
Midnight
to go
Hammer,
up.
7 American B-2 bombers dropped the 30,000-pound each bombs on Iran's key nuclear facilities, totally obliterating everything. No other country on earth could have done what we did. No other country has the equipment to do what we did. We have the greatest weapons on earth. We hate to use them. But we did something that for 22 years people wanted to do. With Iran's nuclear enrichment capacity demolished, I immediately brokered an end to the 12-day war, as it's called, between Israel and Iran, with both sides agreeing to fight no longer. As everyone knows, I have also been deeply engaged in seeking a ceasefire in Gaza. Have to get that done. Have to get it done. Unfortunately, Hamas has repeatedly rejected reasonable offers to make peace. We can't forget October 7th, can we? Now, as if to encourage continued conflict, some of this body is seeking to unilaterally recognize a Palestinian state. The rewards would be too great for Hamas terrorists for their atrocities. This would be a reward for these horrible atrocities, including October 7th, even while they refuse to release the hostages or accept a ceasefire. Instead of giving to Hamas,
I think that's enough.
And giving so much, because they've taken so much, they have taken so much. This could have been solved so long ago. But instead of giving in to Hamas's ransom demands, those who want peace should be united with one message: release the hostages now. Just release the hostages now. Okay. Thank you. As we have got to
There's no more bruising
come
on his
together,
hand.
and we will come together, got to get it done. We have to stop the war in Gaza immediately. We have to stop it. We have to get it done. We have to negotiate. Immediately have to negotiate peace. We got to get the hostages back. We want all 20 back. We don't want 2 and 4. As you know, I got, along with Steve Witkoff and others that helped us, Marco Rubio, we got most of them back. We were involved in all of them.
All right. On that note, no crypto message, but, you know, who knows? Maybe if he talks long enough, eventually he'll get to crypto, and he talks about how he's going to make America the leader in crypto and Bitcoin, and then he talks about buying more Bitcoin. Maybe he'll get there. But maybe not also. Like I said, Aster's still doing awesome. It's pulling back a little bit, but Bitcoin's still kind of the same. Sol's kind of the same. AVAX is doing better today. Wall Street kind of turned red. This speech is all about the Nobel Peace Prize he won't get. He won but didn't get. That was funny that came out. Then technically he should get 7 of them. All right, guys. Smash it a like, subscribe to the channel, join Discord, fill out the form, and we got one winner today. And outside of that, I will see you guys tonight, the usual time. All right, have a good one. Take care.